The left is admitting that the 2022 midterms may indeed have already been won. Republican redistricting has already given the GOP enough new seats to take control of Congress. In this video, we're going to take a look at those redistricting efforts. We're going to see how the left is utterly panicked as a result. And stick with me to the very end of this video when I'll reveal why pundits believe the Democrats will implode and they won't recover for the next decade. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you. As always, I am your daily fake news antidote. As each and every day I provide patriotic analysis to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we begin, you have got to get yourself one of our awesome brand new shirts. Brand new as in Let's Go Brandon, and start off the Christmas season early this year. You're going to absolutely love our shirts. We've got some of the best Patriot gear out there where you can pick out something that spreads hope and it supports my channel here at the very same time. So make sure to click on the link below. Get your Patriot merch today. These designs are punchy, they're fun, but they're not going to stick around for long. So start your Christmas shopping early. Just click on that link below to get one for yourself. For all the patriots in your life, they're going to absolutely love you for it, gang. All right, let's dive right in here. There is an amazing development going on in the state of the 2022 midterm races, and it's coming from far leftist sites like the New York Times and Salon.com. Check this headline out. The GOP already has enough safe seats through redistricting alone to win back House in 2022. And the byline reads, Speaker McCarthy or Speaker Trump? Republicans already have a majority locked down, and they're not done yet. That's right. If you're a leftist, build your bunkers, get your food supplies, hunker down for Armageddon. Because the Trump train is rolling into town and they ain't leaving anytime soon. Now, this historically panicked piece is drawing from a recent analysis by the New York Times. And according to the Times, while only 12 states have fully completed the process of redrawing their congressional district maps based on the 2020 census, the Republicans have already reconfigured enough districts to add 5 new safe seats, which is enough for them to take over the House. Now, of course, assuming nothing else changes. If you don't know, Republicans have been busy redistricting the nation's congressional districts in such a way that the Democrats simply can't compete with. We have to remember that not only did the GOP do very well in House races in 2022, they also dominated the state legislatures in such a way that they may actually be poised to dominate the House for the next decade. And this is because the GOP is now in complete control of state houses and governorships that will end up drawing maps for nearly 200 congressional districts. That's about 50% of all districts getting redrawn totally in the GOP's favor. By contrast, the Democrats control state legislatures and governorships that are going to draw maps for less than 20% of all districts. And so by controlling so many districts, we're going to start seeing at least half the nation not just go red, but go deep red. And you know, it actually gets worse for the Democrats. And that's because the GOP isn't just benefiting from redistricting, they're also benefiting from reapportionment as well, which means that they get to actually add brand new seats to their total. And that's because the GOP now has full control of Texas, Florida, North Carolina, and that alone means that with reapportionment due to the 2020 census, because of their population growth in these states, those states combined are creating approximately 4 new GOP House seats starting in 2022, which means that just with reapportionment alone, the GOP is poised to take control of the House. 4 new seats. But even if they didn't have those 4 new seats, all the redistricting that's been going on has already drawn up 5 new solid red districts to take over Congress through redistricting alone. Here's how the Times analysis put it. Quote, Republicans' upper hand in the redistricting process, combined with plunging approval ratings for President Biden and the Democratic Party, provides the GOP with what could be a nearly insurmountable advantage in the 2022 midterm elections and the next decade of House races. I'll repeat that buried lead there. A nearly insurmountable advantage for the 2022 midterm elections and the next decade of House races. The GOP is becoming insurmountable over the course of the next decade. Now, I don't want to get too giddy here, but the newest Rasmussen poll that just came out yesterday has the Republicans leading the Democrats on the generic ballot by double digits, by 13 points, 51 to 38%. Now, that poll comes on the heels of the Washington Post ABC News poll that found a 10-point lead for Republicans in the so-called generic ballot. When the respondents are asked, are you going to be voting for the Republican or for the Democratic candidate for the next congressional seat? Now, if you don't know, the last midterm when the Republicans absolutely wiped out the Democrats was actually 2010. 2014 was devastating as well, but not quite like 2010. The Democrats were literally wiped out in the 2010 midterms. It was the Tea Party revolution, and the GOP crushed the Democrats by winning an astonishing 63 seats in the House, and they picked up 6 seats in the Senate. The generic ballot polls before that bloodbath actually had the Democrats leading most of the time. This was before the 2010 midterms. For most of the year leading up to the 2010 midterms, the Democrats led the generic ballot, sometimes by double digits. And that was true of the Gingrich Revolution back in 1994. And it was also true of the Republican blowout in 2014 when the Republicans regained control of the Senate. We now have generic ballot polls coming out, too, so far, where the Democrats have accumulated a double-digit lead over the Democrats. If a Democrat lead or a slight Republican lead resulted in a historic wipeout back in 2010-2014, can you even begin to imagine what the bloodbath will look like in 2022 with double-digit leads for the Republicans? We're not talking 60 seats anymore. We're talking about the possibility of 70 to 90 seats. And again, it gets even worse for the Democrats because according to the analysis of the New York Times, that kind of GOP dominance is poised to last how long? A decade, to the next census. Now, Dick Morris has a very interesting analysis in all of this. He's noted that there are 220 Democrats in Congress right now, and about half of them, 100 of them or so, are black or Latino. And what he notices is that we can be more or less safe. We can safely assume that their seats are pretty safe. Okay, they're going to be able to weather the massive red wave that appears to be coming. So what does that mean by definition then? That means that the vast majority of the casualties from the coming GOP landslide will be white Democratic congressmen. With about 120 white Democratic congressmen, we could be seeing the defeat of more than half of them. And if that's the case, what happens to the Democrat Party? Well, again, according to Morris, the Democrat Party basically becomes, in his words, a black party, a party that is predominantly African American. And with Latinos increasingly moving into the Republican Party, as we've seen of late with the blue districts in Texas along the southern border, that are 75% Latino, but they've been flipping red because of the immigration issue, the Democratic Party would, in effect, be decimated as a result. It simply wouldn't have the overall political leverage or attraction to have any kind of national majority for the foreseeable future. And ironically, that would be Joe Biden's lasting legacy. He'll be remembered as the presidency that basically destroyed his own party. It's a very, very interesting thesis, and we'll have to see what comes of it. But as things stand now, even the far left is admitting not that the GOP is going to win in 2022, but that in a number of ways, the GOP has already won. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video on the Proud Boys absolutely crushing Antifa in Portland. It's going to really make your day. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.